You can't imagine how high up this goat climbed or how well he tricked the tiger. High in the mist-draped cliffs where clouds kiss stone and silence reigns, a lone wild goat balanced on the edge of a crumbling ledge. The air was thin, the wind sharp, but his hooves moved with practiced precision. He wasn't just surviving, he was being hunted. Below him, deep within the alpine shadows, padded a tiger, not just any tiger, but a mountain ghost, silent and feared. It had stalked him for hours, never rushing, always watching. The goat had sensed it long before he saw it, felt the stillness in the wind. The bird suddenly quiet, the strange unease behind his every step. The chase wasn't sudden. It was slow, calculated. The tiger knew these slopes too, but not like the goat did, the rocks that threatened to crumble beneath weight. The narrow switchbacks where wind could topple the careless. This was the goat's home, not the hunter's. Still, instinct told him the moment had come. He darted upward, forcing the tiger to follow, hooves echoing like heartbeats against stone. He led the predator higher, to a jagged cliff, where only one could stand at a time. Then he paused, just long enough. The tiger lunged. The goat leaped sideways, pushing off a loose rock shelf. As his body soared, the ledge behind him gave way. The tiger mid-pounce landed too late. The edge crumbled beneath its paws. Dust exploded into the sky as the tiger scrambled back, barely avoiding the fall. The goat had landed safely on a lower shelf, narrow but firm. He didn't run. He stood still, eyes locked with the tiger's above. No fear, no anger, just truth. This wasn't about size. It was about understanding the mountain. The tiger growled, but didn't leap again. Not because it was afraid, because it had learned. Sometimes the prey writes the rules. Slowly, the tiger descended, keeping a wary eye on the goat. It had tasted close victory and knew better than to risk another blunder. For the goat, each step was a lesson, each ledge a challenge met and overcome. And as the sun dipped below the peaks, painting the sky in hues of farewell, he stood firm. He hadn't just survived the day, he had claimed it. But the mountain, like life, is full of turns. The next morning, fresh tracks in the dust told his tale. The tiger had returned, bolder, more hungry. But the goat was ready. As the sun rose, he began his ascent, tracing paths only he knew, leaping across chasms as if they were bridges meant for him. And below, the tiger followed, respect tinged with its predatory focus. This dance was as old as the mountains, a ballet of hunter and hunted, each relying on their ancient skills. They climbed, hours passed, the sun climbing higher, the air thinner still. The goat paused on a ledge, chest heaving, muscles taut, eyes fixed on the path ahead. The tiger mirrored him, its own muscles coiled beneath its striped coat, its gaze unwavering. There was no dramatic leap, no last-minute lunge. The finish line was a flat stretch of rock, a false summit that opened onto a hidden pass leading down. For the tiger, the perfect hunting ground. For the goat, a trap. He had led the tiger away from its territory, up into the realm of thin air and sure footing. Here, the rules were different. And as the tiger took the bait, descending into the false summit's embrace, the goat turned back. His hooves found familiar hands. He moved with the agility of one who knew every twist of the rock. Down below, the tiger, unaware of the trap, padded on. It was only when the echoes of its own steps reached it that it realized it was alone. The goat was gone. The silent hunter had been outplayed by the mountain's game. There would be other hunts, other tests, but today, the mountain stood witness to a hard-earned peace. When the light faded, the tale ended, not with a roar, but with a whisper of wind through the stones. High, in the mists of the mountains, the wild goat stood his ground, and in the thin air, his legend grew, carried on the wings of the wind, a testament to courage and cunning. When the world seemed to hold its breath, he danced with death and lived to tell the tale. His name echoed in the crags, a whisper of respect, a legend born of grit and grace. They called him the mountain ghost, not because he vanished, but because he embodied the spirit of the cliffs, stoic, strong, and free. 4 days after the tiger's defeat, his presence lingered on the slopes. Other goats bleated his name, their young learning the lore, their elders passing on the tales. Each bleat a note in an ancient song, each echo a verse in a story that would be repeated until the stars themselves dimmed. And the wild goat, he disappeared into the folds of the mountains, leaving behind only footprints in the dust and a spirit that refused to be caged. The mountain was his kingdom, its crags and crevices, its peaks and passes, all knew his story. From the peaks to the valleys, his name reverberated, a melody of resilience and daring. For the wild goat had become more than a survivor. He was a symbol, a beacon of untamed spirit in a world that tried to confine it. Yet even legends need solace. Even spirits seek rest. And the wild goat found his in the most unexpected place, the heart of the storm. As seasons painted the mountains in new hues, the wild goat sought shelter in a cave shrouded by cascading vines. Inside, a spring bubbled with life, offering respite from the elements. It was here, nestled between cool stones and vibrant green, that the wild goat found a different kind of hunt. He sought not to outrun a predator, but to understand the rhythm of the earth. Vines became his guide, flowers his teachers, and the whispering spring his confidant. Here, amidst nature's artistry, he shed the weight of his legend, becoming simply a goat seeking harmony. But the mountain's peace was not absolute. A shadow fell over the valley, disrupting the harmony. A new sound echoed through the once tranquil slopes, the distant rumble of human voices. Men carrying axes approached the mountain, their intentions unclear, their shadows long and ominous. The wild goat, attuned to the mountain's whispers, felt a shift in the air. The men posed a riddle, a threat he'd not encountered before. They were not natural predators. Their purpose, their motives, all were a mystery. Days turned into weeks, and the humans remained, their presence a constant hum of activity. The mountain's serenity was fractured by their saws and hammers, and the wild goat found himself torn between his newfound peace and the instinct to flee. He sought the wisdom of the ancient oak at the pass, its roots delving deep into the earth's memory. The oak spoke of seasons, of changing tides, of the ebb and flow of life. It told of how every challenge, every change was part of a larger cycle, a cycle the mountain itself had weathered countless times. And then the oak whispered something more, a call to action, a suggestion to confront, to understand rather than flee. It was a call to adventure, an invitation to unravel the enigma of the humans. And so the wild goat began his descent, not with the agility of a seasoned climber, but with the cautious steps of one treading new path. The closer he got to the men, the more their purpose unveiled itself. They were builders, creating structures of wood and stone. Their tools clanged, their voices echoed, but there was no malice in their actions, only ambition and a deep connection to the mountain itself. The wild goat watched, fascinated, as they transformed the raw materials of the mountain into something new, something that bore the mark of both human ingenuity and mountain resilience. He saw how they respected the terrain, how they used the mountain's bounty, and how their structures blended with the landscape rather than dominating it. In their actions, he saw not just builders, but students of the mountain, learning its language, its strengths, and its secrets. As the sun dipped below the peaks, casting long shadows over the valley, the wild goat realized that his journey had come full circle. He had returned to the place where his legend began, but he was no longer the same goat. He had faced the tiger, outsmarted it, and in doing so, had secured his place in the mountain's lore. He had found solace in the heart of nature, embracing the rhythm of the earth, and he had ventured into the unknown, confronting the mystery of the human presence and finding not menace, but a shared reverence for the mountain. The wild goat, the mountain ghost, stood at the edge of the clearing, bathed in the soft glow of twilight. Around him, the chorus of the mountain swelled. The wind whispered through the pines. The stream sang its eternal song, and the distant rumble of human activity faded into the symphony of the wild. He was a testament to the enduring spirit of the mountains, a blend of untamed spirit and newfound wisdom. As the stars began to pepper the night sky, the wild goat raised his head and let out a call, a sound that echoed the strength and serenity he had discovered within himself. It was a call to all who roamed the mountain, a reminder that courage and peace were not mutually exclusive, that the thrill of the chase could coexist with the tranquility of the wild, and that the true spirit of the mountain lay in embracing its every challenge and its every gift. For the wild goat, the mountain was not just his home, it was his story, and his story was the mountain's song.